Can you please spend 2 to 3 minutes outlining the facts? Sure. The tenant vacated the property on the 3rd of May. When we carried out the final inspection shortly after, we found the kitchen, bathroom and laundry in an unclean condition. There was also a fair amount of rubbish left behind in the backyard. This was well below the standard outlined in the lease and the original entry condition report. Based on that, we sought quotes for a full bond clean, rubbish removal, and the total came to $900. That's $500 for cleaning and $400 for the rubbish removal. We've submitted a bond claim for that amount. The tenant, however, is disagreeing and claims the property was clean and that she didn't have any rubbish behind. What evidence can you produce to support the claim? We have time-stamped photos from the exit inspection showing the condition of the kitchen, bathroom and laundry. They clearly hadn't been cleaned to a satisfactory standard. There are also photos of the rubbish left in the backyard. In addition to that, we've got quotes from the professional cleaners and rubbish removal companies showing the costs involved, $500 and $400 respectively. Have you provided this evidence to the tenant? Yes, I emailed the tenant a full copy of the exit condition report along with the photos and both quotes, which I've provided. I explained the situation and invited her to either dispute with evidence or come to an agreement. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reach a resolution. Is it possible that someone entered the property afterwards and missed it? Look, I don't believe so. The property was locked when we arrived and there were no signs of forced entry. The issues we found, like built-up grime in the bathroom and rubbish in the yard, were not things that could have occurred overnight or have been caused by someone sneaking in, nor would they want to. These are consistent with a property that simply wasn't cleaned before handover. What steps did you take to try and resolve the dispute with the tenant? After the inspection, I contacted the tenant to discuss the issues. I offered her the opportunity to return to the property and to take care of the cleaning and rubbish herself. She declined and maintained that she had cleaned and removed everything. After that, I provided all the supporting evidence, but she continued to dispute the claim. Do you have any questions you wish to ask the tenant? Yes. I'd like to ask the tenant if they're excuse me. If the tenant has any photos or receipts showing that the property was cleaned before she handed it back, especially professional cleaning receipts, since that's often expected. That would help clarify things and make it much easier for us to ascertain what the property is and what it isn't, so that we can move ahead. What outcome is the landlord after? Please provide your desired outcome and an alternative. Our preferred outcome is to recover the full $900 from the bond to cover the cleaning and rubbish removal costs. However, if that's not acceptable to the tenant, we'd be willing to consider a compromise, perhaps $700, just to resolve this without further dispute and put an end to the proceedings. How do you feel about the outcome proposed by the tenant? Look, at this stage, the tenant hasn't really proposed a concrete solution. She's just rejected the claim, so that makes it difficult for me to have a true account of what we can and can't do in this situation. I'm open to compromise, but I don't think that the evidence strongly supports that some costs are unjustified. How would you like this dispute to be resolved? Ideally, I'd like to reach an agreement today, either for the full amount or a fair compromise, as I've already stated. I'd prefer to avoid going to QCAT, but we're prepared to do so if needed. Hopefully, with the evidence presented, we can resolve it here and now.